Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
Joshua Shrum. He is a very talented steward, very knowledgeable.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. This is one of those podcasts where I listen to every episode. I love what he's putting out there.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. Josh Shrum.
Parcels of Knowledge. Does a fantastic job with that podcast.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. He is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God. We need Article 8 scholars right now.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.
Good morning and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, that podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. Today we are at grievance number 93 in the beautiful city of Roseville, Michigan. And today will be a short episode with a few announcements. So that's essentially what we're going to focus on here. Just a couple different announcements that one of them's very, and you know what, they're both time sensitive. I had a suggestion from my guy, Jeff Krula, the killer. I love that guy. He's our one of our stewards here at Roseville. He's tackling this undelivered mail the best he can. And he suggested something, and I think it's a beautiful idea. I think that we all should do this. So I thought it was important enough to do an announcement. Yes, I'm going to do a Roseville Wrecking Crew Wednesday, tomorrow. But today I thought it was important enough to just make these couple different announcements. Soon enough, within a week or so, Steiner is going to be before Congress. And we think that he's going to come up with excuses and try and get Congress to take his side. But one of the things that we think you should do is we think that you should contact your congressperson. If you haven't done so already, you should still do it, even if you have. And call their office. I think a call is worth more than email. And I'm going to put in the description below, I'm going to put the website to show who your congresspeople are and what their contact information is. Please, I want those phones active today. This is a call to action. We need to call those congresspeople and say, hey, I know you're potentially going before Steiner on this particular day. Please, can you ask him about this particular issue that's going on in my office? And most specifically, let's talk about the mismanagement of the mail. And that includes undelivered mail. I think that Steiner should be grilled to the point where he's got his hands over his ears, just like Louis DeTroy. Steiner needs to make sure that we need to make sure that Steiner doesn't get any type of leverage here. We need to make sure Steiner, because he might say things like, hey, look, we need 5-day delivery, and this is the numbers. We're trying to get the mail delivered. We can't even get it delivered. This undelivered mail shit could be part of their plan. So we got to make sure we let our congresspeople know that, no, this is intentional delay. They've been doing this on purpose to save money. They haven't been trying. They've been delaying it on purpose. And they have every ability to deliver the mail, but they won't. And please contact your congresspeople and let them know that there's some important questions you got to ask Steiner. On another note, I do want to talk about there's a organizing meeting on Sunday, March 15th at 8:30 p.m. Via Zoom. I'm going to put the Zoom link to the registration in the description below. This is through Next Generation Carriers. And in that Zoom meeting, we're going to be talking about the mismanagement of mail, and we're going to be mobilizing against what management's doing. I'll be there talking about the delay of mail and how that hurts our community support. There's going to be a lot of different people talking, a lot of different calls to action. We're going to try and do our best on the carrier side to supplement what Brian Renfro is doing, trying to negotiate our contracts. So the things that Brian Renfro lacks, let's make up for on our side. We're going to try and organize some things to be able to move the public to our support. And in doing so, hopefully we leverage the contract a little bit better. Either way, I'm hoping that you guys will attend so that we can do a big showing and show that we actually care to change things around here. Just an FYI, this upcoming Saturday, we're going to have an unusual guest on Saturdays with Shrum. It's going to be Paul Bolanger. And as you already know, Paul Bolanger is slated to be the Director of Education for the CLC. But Director of Education is not an elected position. Either way, we think it's important that we get to understand this candidate. Candidate's a weird word to say it, but we're going to question Paul Bolanger on Saturday. So if you have any questions, please submit them to me at rosevillewreckingball@yahoo.com. This will be in the description if you can't fathom how to spell it. It's rosevillewreckingball@yahoo.com. We got to give Paul Bolanger, the podcaster for the Lion's Den, we got to give him some hard questions, some easy questions, anything you might want to ask him as the next Director of Education. As with any episode of Parcels of Knowledge, this episode would be incomplete without any form of education or advice. So, thinking about something quick to talk about, recently a fellow steward of mine had mentioned some good advice. I already knew it, but I think it's important to note. So maybe before I let you go, and hopefully you'll do those 2 links, but before I let you go, let me tell you this one piece of advice that is important in terms of dealing with management, whether that is at the formal A or informal A meeting, or alternatively, whether that is during an I&I, which this is more prevalent during an I&I. If you are having a meeting with management in any way, shape, or form, especially an investigative interview, make sure your management team knows that it's not appropriate for them to have an earpiece in. Because sometimes management will have an earpiece in so that another manager will tell them questions to say. That is not appropriate. And make sure to notate it every single time and indicate your suspicion of that device, because it's not necessarily a thorough investigation when the concurring official could potentially be on the other end telling them what to say. You don't know who's on the other end. If there is anybody on the other end, you don't have the ability to listen in on their ear. So it's always appropriate to leave those devices out of the meeting. If it's a private meeting, it needs to stay private. So just keep in mind that sometimes management will use these devices to do things that they shouldn't be doing. So next time you have an I&I, next time you have a informal A meeting or a formal A meeting, make sure you pay attention to whether or not management is wearing an earpiece, one of those Bluetooth devices. One other thing before I let you guys go, I just want to say I'm proud of the Roseville Wrecking crew over here at the local office. I guess it would be the Roseville Stewards. I'm proud of the Wrecking crew, but that's for tomorrow. The Roseville Stewards, we got Jeff Cruella the Killer, who has single-handedly been driving force for what we've done in regards to undelivered mail. We got Joe Fayad the Slugger, who has been a bulldozer in terms of discipline. And our new recruit, the Bruiser, Brandon Arnone, who came on hitting hard with his first case being an escalated remedy. And this guy has got potential, and hopefully we continue to develop ourselves and get to the point where we got things covered and everything runs as smoothly as possible. Together, we've gotten carriers about $200,000 since 2023. And, we got the best team over here at Roseville, Michigan. I just want to say I'm proud of you guys. And, we just got a recent escalated remedy, an additional escalated remedy for noncompliance, and I'm excited for that. But we'll talk about that a different day, because I think that's a good topic to go on. And I'm going to have Clarence and Mike Cariff here on my podcast. Clarence Blaze is the Mike Cariff of Region 6. I'm just waiting for him to be available so we can do this podcast on noncompliance and share with you guys all the best tips and tricks on how to get escalated remedies, because oftentimes they make these two guys be an example of who not to be. You know, Region 6, they don't like escalated remedies. I think we should be doing the opposite. Let's be more like Mike and more like Clarence Blaze when it comes to escalated remedies. But hopefully you learned something valuable today. Hopefully I'll see you this March 15th on that Zoom call. Hopefully you contact your congresspeople. And as always, have a good day.
If these guys are getting educated, we will be in big trouble.
Management's been weighing you down like a bag of wet catalogs, but you don't gotta take it. You strap on the elbow of education, dig it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God, we need Article 8 scholars right now. The Grievous Genius and the Roseville Wrecking Ball doing amazing work.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.